boys and girls. We are back with one of the best programs in the world. It is the Exceptional Conservative Show, the best in urban conservative news, talk, and movies. And tomorrow I'll tell you what all the great movies will be for this particular weekend. But I want to introduce to some and present to others a tremendous man, a great orator, one of the best commentators in the world, in fact, because he has a program that goes around the world. It's called English Defense League. He is none other than the great Dave Milner. Dave Milner with us tonight. God bless you, sir. Great evening with you. How are you doing, sir?
I'm wonderful, Ken, and of course I'm always glad to receive those great comments, especially from someone who plays such wonderful music. I must tell you that the great things that you've been playing are just wonderful. Your great bumper music. You are DJ Funkenstein.
Thank you, sir.
You play the tracks that funk to the max, and we can all relax. Okay? Because the first word in funk is fun.
That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You can tell he was a DJ. There you go. DJ Funkenstein. There you go. Thank you so much, Dave. You're awesome, man. Listen, I want to talk with you about a number of things, but I want to talk with you about one specific thing before we go to Truman. And it's Seattle. Apparently, CNN, MSNBC, and all of the leftist media did a wonderful job hiding the 20,000 people that signed onto a petition to end defund the police amongst the Seattle City Council. And I wanted to get your thoughts about the rioting, which is mythical according to Nadler, the protests that are going on in Portland and the repeal the defund movement that's happening in Seattle.
Well, you know, it's not a stretch at all to think that they would be able to hide these people. I mean, do you remember the Las Vegas shooter a few years ago in October?
Yep.
How many people talk about that now? What was the resolution of that? That went right down, as another host puts it, the memory hole. That's gone now. That's not even an issue. Nobody even understands what happened with that. And that was one of the, at the time, it was the worst mass shooting in American history. Just completely gone. It amazes me. It amazes me how much the left can just reshape reality to fit their own worldview. And you did a show some time ago for a week based on worldview. And it's really easy for people to get a worldview for themselves and just stick with that. Don't worry about reality. Don't worry about science. Don't worry about facts. Don't worry about what you see in front of your face.
Yeah.
As long as your worldview, for instance, says that the protests, quote unquote, in Portland are peaceful, well, then by all means, they're peaceful. Never mind those videos of rioters trying to set fires at the federal courthouse. Never mind those videos where you can actually see the lasers being aimed at the eyes of federal law enforcement officers. Oh, forget all that. That's mythological.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have to say, I had to laugh when Raynard Jackson, a truly great orator, okay, I mean, you compliment me far too much. He's definitely a great orator. Said, okay, yeah, then if Nadler thinks that that the violence in Portland is mythological, then yeah, the help that the Democrat convention in Milwaukee is going to get from Trump is mythological as well.
Do you believe? Because we watched Yahweh of NAFAC, who shot 3 of his own members in Louisville, proclaiming that they are the next great black militia protecting black America from racial violence and police brutality. And now you have Black Lives Matter with their own heavy military artillery group that they're trying to put together. And in addition to that, the Nation of Islam, are they going to be asked to come in and take the place of the police that are dropping out like gnats from the DNC convention in Milwaukee?
Well, we actually ran this story today on EDL radio, and I heard what Chief Gonzalez had to say. And I honestly can't blame him for stretching out the hand and asking for federal help. I mean, I don't see this as his fault, because he said in that interview the fact that the only alternatives the police now have, thanks to this oversight committee in Milwaukee, is either to run away or to lay themselves open to sacrifice or to use deadly force, is just unacceptable. All right, that's all that they're left with. So of course other law enforcement agencies are going to say, no. Sorry, we can't attend. And President Trump should not send federal help either, because, again, this is the same party many of whose leaders say they support Antifa. All right. Okay, if they support Antifa so much, if they think that federal law enforcement officers are thugs and Nazis and things of that nature, then they shouldn't be around them. Yes, you're right. Let them, let them have Antifa and BLM and the Nation of Islam and the Black Panthers as their security. Now, I don't know exactly what year this took place. It was sometime, it was either 68, 69, or 70.
Yeah.
This was a music festival in Altamont, California, and the music promoters thought it was a great idea to pay the Hells Angels 100 cases of beer to security. Several people died. There was just a lot of mayhem coming from these people. And yeah, if they were to do what you're talking about, if they were to have BLM and all these others in charge of their security at the Democratic convention, it would make 1968 in Chicago look like a church social. I mean, my God.
Now,
it would actually be. I'm not even sure you can sell that as a PG-13 movie. Ooh,
no, oh my God, it would be absolutely terrible to have, in fact, where the leader actually shoots 3 of his own members. You want that group actually protecting individuals coming from around the world? Nah. But again, maybe they should pay the price for their belligerent narrative, for their agenda, for their cause, for their rhetoric. They said that they would want that type of community policing, the Sharia police coming around. Can you imagine, Dave, and you talk about Sharia law in Europe often, can you imagine the Sharia police from New York City being used to protect women in Milwaukee? Can you imagine that?
Oh, that would just be horror all around. And my God, I can't imagine the kind of mayhem that would take place. Actually, I can imagine it a bit. Like I said, just take Altamont, that music festival, and magnify it by about 100, and you would come close. In fact, at that point, law enforcement might come in, if nothing else, just out of pity. But then again, you are correct. I mean, this is what the left have wanted. This is what they've said. Oh, we don't want police. We want social workers, and we want a different kind of policing. I'll give you an example. I misspoke when I said that my own city of Burlington, Vermont, has about 35 or 38,000 people. I looked it up.
Yeah.
We're just over 43,000 people. And with our soon-to-be 74 police officer force, okay?
Wow.
I pulled out the calculator, and that means 1 cop for every 581 people. That's not going to work in normal times, okay? If you have a convention where there are various different groups and they're ready to hit out at each other, because that's what has happened. The left has created this acrimony within their own ranks. When you have that many people ready to rock and roll, they're going to start playing the music, and
Yeah.
it's not going to be a good thing for any law enforcement who is going to be out there trying to protect decent people.
Exactly. And for those of you who don't remember, because you're too young too, I was only 2 years old in 1968, but I was actually watching TV and conversing with my parents about politics, even during that time period, as young as I was. And the 68 riots, in a sense, when you had armed police, and we're talking about individuals with their vests on, with the helmets and everything else, they were there on site to protect the convention and to stop any rude behavior. And even they failed in that regard. They had to use tear gas and other propellants to keep people away from that particular event. I just can't imagine Barney Fife of NFAC doing anything whatsoever to protect individuals if Antifa decides to unload and Black Lives Matter gets carried away. We're talking tonight with Dave Milner, conservative commentator extraordinaire. Dave, you brought up to me, and I really appreciate our conversations that we have in private via Twitter and other social media, because you are a great insight to me. You brought up the fact that Harry Truman, the one who ended segregation of the military by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, you advised that he did something special that may impact how Donald J. Trump handles the teachers union of today. And if you could just enlighten all of us at this time.
All right. Well, first, a small amount of background. When the teachers unions now, many of them in many cities, don't want to go back to work and do in-person classes. Now, the problem with this is that parents need to be freed up so that they can open the country back up again and go to work. This has to happen. At this point, Ken,
Yeah.
I consider this to be a matter of national security. Okay? And when I was thinking about that aspect of it, I began thinking about what President Truman did with the railroads in the year 1950. He also did this with a steel plant later on. Okay, there was, now you have to remember also, in 1950 we were just beginning to mobilize and get our guys ready for the Korean War. Okay?
Yeah.
Because, so, a lot of material had to be shipped. This had to be done. Material, personnel, everything had to be shipped. And it had to be done through the railroads. The railroad unions were about to strike, so President Truman put the railroads under the control of the United States Army. Now, I'm going to read this public statement of his, and you could directly translate this into today. Okay? Now, Truman said back then, in 1950, government seizure of the railroads is imperative for the protection of American citizens as well as essential to the national defense and security of the nation. He used the same justification, as I just said, for seizing control of steel plants the United Steelworkers Union struck later in the year. Okay, so that is it. It is a matter now of national security to get our people back to work. And they can't do that if their kids are stuck at home because the teachers refuse to go to work because they're worried about getting the Wuhan. Never mind the fact that these same teachers were getting food deliveries the whole time they've been off. Mm-hmm. Never mind the fact that these teachers were going out to Walmart and interacting with Walmart workers the whole time they were off. Never mind the fact that they were getting all sorts of services, even up to going down to the corner store, pick up a pack of smokes or whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay, never mind any of that. Okay, they claim now that they're worried for themselves because of the Wuhan. of course, we know the Wuhan virus is really just a very bad flu, but the teachers don't seem to care about that.
Yeah.
They just seem to care about themselves. Now, the advantages, as I see it, well, what I see as what President Trump should do with this is create a plan whereby the United States military can take over any school system where the teachers do not want to come in and work. And remember, the United States military has been successfully educating young people for over 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that President Trump could also do would be to change the curriculum, remove the social justice stuff and things like this, and teach the basics. Okay, and military personnel know the basics very well. Reading, writing, they definitely know mathematics. My brother was a crew chief working on F-111s, and
Yep.
you better believe he knew about mathematics. Okay, the hard sciences. Military people are great at the hard sciences. They could do this, and it would just give my heart joy to see soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines walking into classrooms, wearing their BDUs proudly and teaching the students. And President Trump should draw up that plan, complete with the simplified curriculum, and have it ready to implement. And if the left says, okay, Mr. President, we'll call your bluff, Mr. Trump should turn around and say, what bluff?
Yep.
And assign them right away.
Now,
and they just say, we're opening schools on this date.
Dave,
Get ready, kids. You're going back.
Dave, let me play devil's advocate with you. First and foremost, knowing that 12,000 troops will be leaving Germany this year, some to be placed in places like Poland and others to come back home. More than half of them will be coming back home. It makes for good reason that particular practice. But there are going to be those that say this is an infringement on the state's 10th Amendment. How dare you try to excise our federal troops to invade the schools?
That's a very interesting line to say, especially given the fact that about just under 10 years after President Truman had the U.S. Army take over the railroads, President Eisenhower had federal troops in the schools when some of those schools did not want to desegregate. And these were not soldiers who were just in their BDUs and going in to teach classes. These were soldiers who were armed with M1s and M14s.
Yep.
Are guarding these kids so that they could go in and begin their studies and not be discriminated against or hurt. So that's my answer to that.
Now, here's another devil's advocate question here. Wouldn't it just be better to defund all schools that did not return? Or would it be better just to give the appropriations to the parents so that they do the voucher work of finding a school for their kid during the year that's open?
I like that idea. In fact, that President Trump could roll that into an announcement. He could say, all right, guys, these are the alternatives. We can have a universal voucher program, or we can send in the troops to teach the children. Either way, schools will be open by a certain date so that we can open up the United States of America. It's not about the election. It's not about me. It's about the kids. They've already been rooked out of half a year of education. They need to get back.
But wait a minute, Dave. You know that children are the biggest carrier of coronavirus, that they infect everybody. Everyone will die because of the kids carrying coronavirus. Am I correct about that? Since I believe in hockey stick science, right?
All the science shows that children aren't actually carriers. And honestly, I thought that they might be when this stuff first started, because they're almost not completely. They're almost bulletproof to it. The number of infections of young children is extremely small. Mostly the people who are infected are older people. We're talking about people over the age of 55, and many of whom also have other comorbidity conditions. They're the ones who usually get infected, and they are also the ones who sadly die. And I just want to say,
Yeah.
My thoughts and prayers go to the family of Herman Cain, who we lost at the age of 74 to complications from the Wuhan, so his doctors say. But Mr. Cain was also a stage 4 colon cancer survivor. So, no. Teachers, most of whom are usually young, most of them,
Yeah.
are not going to catch the Wuhan from the children, especially if this is done with common sense. Denmark had their schools open months ago, and all they did was space the kids further apart. I can't stand the phrase social distancing. It's one of the things. That's one of those phrases I hear. If I hear that one, or especially if I hear flatten the curve too many more times, I'm just gonna let a bus run over my head. I'm done hearing all that mess. But the thing is, if you space the children far enough apart and use some common sense, okay?
Yeah.
Will there be people who catch the Wuhan that way? Okay, I actually heard on another show today that has happened so far in one school in Israel. And that was only because they were not spacing the kids apart in that one school in Israel. Okay, hasn't happened anywhere else that I at least am aware of. So no, the teachers are not going to be in danger if they use some common sense. If they want to wear a mask, okay, so many people think that a mask is a Star Trek deflector shield against the Wuhan. They can go ahead and do that. Shields up, baby. Let's get back to work.
Shields up. There we go. I had a conversation with Michael Brown earlier tonight on the program, and he degraded the Trump family as well as the Herman Cain family by stating that Herman Cain should have worn a mask. If he had worn a mask, he would not have died. I want to ask you, where in the Science Journal of Medicine does it say, including Dr. Fauci's writings in terms of the New England Journal of Medicine, where does it say that wearing a mask will prevent you from getting COVID-19?
Let me see. No place. We even have doctors from Europe now that are saying, from Sweden, and they ought to know, okay?
Yep.
They're saying that mask wearing really makes little difference. And let's face it, Ken, not everybody is going to even be able to afford to do what Fauci is talking about. Now, he's talking about wearing a mask, and he's talking about wearing goggles, and he's talking about wearing a face shield. I mean, my God, is the next stimulus package going to include funds for a spacesuit? Okay. Eventually, that's what you're going to need. And Fauci's saying, we got to do this now all the time. We'll never be able to take off the masks or anything like that. I got to say, man, I wish that dude would cash out and go away, because I can't think of any better way to weaken the American people, because we have to be out there and face the things that are out there. And very sadly, some of us are not going to survive. Okay, but the ones who do survive are going to be stronger. As for Mr. Cain, all right, he made the decisions that he made, and he was an inspiration, from what I understand, to everyone he was around, and he has now gone to his reward. And no, I don't think that it was a proper assessment to say he should have been wearing a mask. All right, that's just I'm not going to down a fellow contributor, okay?
No, and I do a great job of downing him as often as I can, because what I'm trying to say to the American people is that because we got rid of the church, you allowed the government to get rid of the church, they replaced the cross with a mask. And they said, if you believe in this mask, if we lift this mask up, ye shall all be healed. And I must tell you, everybody I've ever seen with COVID-19 was sitting in an emergency room with a mask on. Every single one of them. So the bottom line is there were people who had a mask on that died of COVID-19. Every single one of them. The bottom line is this, ladies and gentlemen. The mask is useless for a respiratory ailment. It is useless. The greatest thing that you could wear, and we talked about that earlier this week on our program, if you really, really want to prevent getting COVID-19, wear glasses. That's about it. Because it will find a way through your nose, through your mouth, and through other areas of your body, sexual areas. Just want to let you ladies know that we can release. Just saying, it's true, it's scientific. We can release coronavirus to you that way as well. So the bottom line is, one way or another, your body could find itself infected. The worst thing you could do is have a very bad or low immunity. And people with comorbidities are those individuals that do. Herman Cain, God rest his soul, had been fighting cancer for over a decade, had the most extreme versions of the cancer and fought through them. So his immune system was already weakened. And it's really, really sad that people would suffice to support Barack Obama for his remarks against Donald Trump and at John Lewis's funeral, and at the same time, out the other corner of their mouth, degrade Herman Cain by saying that if he had carried the worship item of a mask, then God would not have taken him home. I'm just telling you. I want to ask you very quickly, should people be careful about the word control coming out of the mouths of the left regarding coronavirus?
Well, this whole narrative about the Wuhan virus has been about control. Okay, we need to shut the country down for 15 days to flatten the curve. Now we need to shut the country down until we find a cure. Now we need to shut the country down periodically, even after we find a cure. And even then you're going to have to wear a mask and a face shield and goggles, and God only knows what else the next time Fauci gets interviewed. Okay, it's all about control. The mask is a symbol of tyranny. Now, if someone wants to wear a mask, if they feel safer wearing a mask, that's fine. Okay, I'm not bagging on people who want to wear a mask and be safe. That's fine. Okay, but if they don't, then the people who are wearing the masks should not have to worry, because again, in their minds, the mask protects them. Okay, but don't trash everybody else's freedom just for this controlled narrative. Okay, let's stop this nonsense and get this country back to work, because we are really doing a lot more harm with these lockdowns and this totalitarian mess than the Wuhan virus has ever been capable of.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. 99% of Americans have recovered from COVID-19. It's amazing. It's amazing, ladies and gentlemen.
That's because it's airborne. And
Yeah.
it's been airborne for a long time, Ken. A long time before people began talking about it heavily. I mean, the Prince of Wales over in the UK got it early on. He got it even before Bobo the Clown got it over there. Okay? And the Prince of Wales, I told this to Jeff, Jeff Mitchell, who, by the way, sends his fond regards.
God bless him.
The Prince of Wales was not going round to the pub for a pint. Okay? He's one of the best protected people on the planet, and he got it. Okay, that means that, and the fact that so many other celebrities, Tom Hanks got it.
Exactly.
Okay? Tom Hanks is not going down to the local bowling alley, to bowl a game and, have some nachos. That ain't happening.
Ain't happening.
Okay? I mean, it was airborne. People were getting it. Okay, and that means that it's in our society now, and it's too late for the masks. Okay.
There you go.
All right. The horses are already gone. Okay. Even the horse chips have dried up. Okay. So don't try to close up the barn door right now.
Hydroxychloroquine, people. Hydroxychloroquine. It will certainly beat out any vaccine known to man. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Milner, conservative commentator extraordinaire. You will find him on English Defense League on Blog Talk Radio, 3:30 p.m. on Sundays and as well Thursdays. And he will be on this weekend. So catch him before he goes on vacation. There you go.
God bless you, brother.
God bless you. Love you, brother. Listen, we have run to the point of our program where we're running out of time and precious moments. So I want to let you all know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm ever so thankful for you all being here tonight. Thank you for your patience as we made constructive changes to TECN TV, and there are more changes to come before the election night. But I just want to tell you, I am doing everything I possibly can to give you the best conservative talk network, news network, and movie network in the world. You deserve to have a choice. You deserve to have a choice in what you watch, in what you comprehend, in what you understand, and what you know. You deserve that choice. Mark Zuckerberg should never take that choice from you. Mr. Patek from Google should never take that choice away from you. Jeff Bezos from the Washington Post should never take that choice away from you. Tim Cook from Apple should never take that choice away from you. And if you allow them to do that, then we shall live in infamy knowing that we had freedom in our grasp and we opened our hands to give it to tyranny. Without a shadow of a doubt, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all so much for being here tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night. It's open heart, closed case night, one of the hardest nights of the week. As we construct that particular program, we want you to remember this great flag representing our republic, knowing that God bless America. Let us always remember that America's job is to bless God. Good night, each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here.